Welcome to the 6th lecture of Muskkat, the Museo ng Kaalamang Katutubo, a start-up museum group and its development ongoing. Part of Muskat's program is this lecture series covering topics that present and explore kaalaman. So we are being true to our name. Kaalaman, knowledge, and its varied expressions lodged in the collection of material culture. In our increasingly interconnected world, Muskkat endeavors to bridge the gap between past and present, between the ancient and the modern Filipino, between tangible and intangible culture, across ethno-linguistic cultures and faiths. Muskkat believes that an awareness, an acknowledgement, and the celebration of our kaalaman can bring us closer to understanding the Philippines as a unified nation and its people. Since 2013, UNILAC has undertaken the acquisition of ethnographic collections and group of individual artifacts. Collecting has been shepherded by strict and ethical parameters based on a distinct set of characteristics, such as integrity of form, cultural significance, age, aesthetic qualities, among others. To regale us with Philippine drinking data is our guest for this afternoon, dear friend Nikki Felix, and she will tell us more about drinking in the Philippines and perhaps elsewhere. Nikki?
Okay. The title is based on the book by Edilberto Alegre. It's Inumang Pinoy. And Alegre wrote with Doreen Lago Fernandez and then had his own books also, and a column on food, Filipino food and drinks. And I think one should get this book if you are to understand our Inumang. But here, the first written document about food and drinks served during the Magellan expedition was by Antonio Pigafetta, the chronicler of that expedition. In Limasawa, southern Leyte, he described toasting this way. I want you to wake you up a bit, okay, to do the same. First, they raise their hands to the heaven. Everybody, hands, two hands. Then, taking the drinking vessel on the right hand, okay, mamaya, and extend the fist of their left hand toward the company. So that's the way they do it. Wow. In southern Leyte, when they are toasting. So, they this, and then ang galing yun. In Cebu, which is how Cebu was called by Pigafetta, ZUBU, the king was seated on a mat, drinking palm wine again through reed pipes. That's how it said. Pigafetta explained how the wine is obtained from the coconut or palm tree. They make an aperture into the heart of the tree. Actually, it is not the heart, but the flower at its top, from which is distilled along the tree a liquor-like white musk, which is sweet and with a touch of greenness. Then they take canes, which is the bamboo, thick as a man's leg, to which they draw the liquor, fastening them to the tree from the evening, so that the said liquor comes little by little. And that's how he describes the way we get the sap from the coconut. Then we have our ancestors. How many of you are familiar with the Boxer Codex? Yes. I think one should have that book. It's a very good book to have to understand the early part of the Philippines. This was done by Vera Reyes for the 500th year of... I'm sorry, Vival. Meron ng fee. Okay. But, sorry guys, wherever you are. And then, you have to buy it because it starts with the time after Magellan. Alright? And it explains, for instance, Borona. Borona is corn. And olive, you have corn whiskey, right? Landed in 1541 by the Villalobos expedition. That was many years before the Legazpi came to the country to finally put us under Spain. Okay. This is our ancestors and drinking. You have Cagayan natives. Cagayan being northern Cagayan. It doesn't say they drank, but only when they do not drink. In other words, they drink every time. Right? Cagayan natives in mourning do not eat rice nor drink wine, only borona or maize, camotes, and other herbs. Alright? In Apari, all their feasts are marked with drinking. And if they win the war, it says, what war it is, I don't know. They celebrate by drinking and ringing some bells. Some of them dance and some drink, including women. And everyone celebrate with dancing and drunken binges, usually that last 2 or 3 days, and sometimes even more. Feasting, including events like Mag-Anito, healing the sick, betrothal, harvest. There will be drinking and eating and ringing bells and other instruments. Women and young people are dancing. For 20 or 30 days, chiefs and their brave Indios eat and drink until they fall down drunk or pass out, then are brought elsewhere to sleep by the women. So the women are the ones who bring them. And the slaves. When they return to the feast, they get drunk again. After the sacrifice or bewitchment, the bailanes eat alone, and the rest of the meat is divided among all those present at the sacrifice, who eat splendidly and drink a certain liquid made from rice until they get drunk. Of course, the rice wine we all know now is tapoy, tatay. Sacrifice for the sick. Okay, this is the sacrifice for the sick. They scatter the wine, they pour it on the floor, and that is for the gods. We have the depiction of the Moros, but they were really Tagalogs, not really Muslim. That's how they call them, the Moros. And the Visayans. They hold many drinking feasts. They love cockfighting and they drink tobacco. As early as that, so now we know. That's the history. And then, but for me, the most amazing is the ancient belief that heaven is a life of idleness, peace, and luxury alongside their ancestors who are drinking again and eating. So for them, that is heaven. Is that the same for you?
Yeah. Of course. And idleness.
Alright. This was a calendar that was used by Tanduay, a print ad of Tanduay to celebrate the 2004, I think it's 100 and something, 50 years of Tanduay. This ad is courtesy of the Lopez Museum. Okay. May sayaw na, wala pang drinking. Yeah. It was made in 1905. But can you see the model, it's a girl. Right? It wasn't strange that time. Tagay, of course, means not just toasting, but something else, and we will discuss that later. The next graphics you will see are all part of the 2004 calendar. How many of you are familiar with laksoy? Alright. It is said that the laksoy during ancient times was only for royalty. The photograph shows the sap obtained through a bamboo tube connected to the stem. The sap is mixed with ground barok or tumog bark, which makes the liquid red. Laksoy is nipa-tuba distilled. Okay, one of the farmers, of the Nipa farms there in Bulacan, told me that you have to kick the nipa so that it will flow profusely, the sap. In other words, you have to hurt it first. And hurting it means get more juice. Right? Another farmer told me that if the tree is in distress, it will bear more fruits. So obviously it's the same philosophy. Distillation involves boiling the nipa-tuba in huge vats with a karahay full of cold water on top. Alright? When the tuba boils, it evaporates and condenses on the underside of the karahay. Beaded laksoy then drops into the tube and out into bottles. Now this is a very funny thing because when I wrote it, the Catholic Church objected. Because I said, raw potato slices remove the roughness of the laksoy. In Barrio Babag, Butuan, old-time priests tempered laksoy's liquid fire and taste with apple slices and duha, which they call lambag there, and used this laksoy as wine during Mass. Okay. Siguro they want mongko lang. When the nipa sap is allowed to ferment as is in jars under the sun to make into vinegar, such as those in Paumbong, Bulacan, one of the stages is when there is a froth that forms on top. That stage is called tanduay. Which is funny because the name of the brand and the wine is not exactly vinegar. It was Father Juan Delgado, a Jesuit, who described the process in detail, including the materials used and which are still in use today. It's okay. Since you're my friends, it's all right. He reported that the first distillate is Vino Ordinario. Alright? The second is Dalisay. And the third is Mistela. Okay, if the first is Vino Ordinario, when you distill that further, then it is Dalisay. When you distill the Dalisay some more, then it becomes Mistela. Now we have Lambalo. It comes from the coconut instead of nipa. It is distilled by boiling the tuba several times and collecting the condensate. Again, it is expensive because it takes 15 gallons to make 1 gallon. Oh, wow. Yes. Jesuit priests, but you know, I wonder why these Jesuit priests keep on writing about Inumang. They're actually the best sources during that time. Juan Delgado wrote in the 18th century how Lambanog was aged by adding canela, cinnamon, lime or orange peels, preferably the Naranjita China, among other flavorings. The information included how women in Quezon and Batangas could drink as hard and as much as the men, under the table and over it. Of course. You know, and they used to say that the women led the drinking. So the men would have to follow. So whatever amount the women drank, they had to also do it.
Oh.
Right? And I have heard this cuento many times. Yeah, only person, yes. Now, we have the tuba. When a coconut tree is in, it's only when the coconut tree is into its third flowering, the petiole can be cut and the sap flows out. A bamboo tube is attached to a firm wooden tube where the sap flows. The tube already contains a bark called barok or bakhal. The gathered tuba is decanted, that's called pagpasya, daily for the first week, and then after once a week. In Sagay and Silay City in Negros, the 2-day-old tuba is called Pag-O and is sweet. And after that, it is the Bahalina. But in Leyte, where Leyteños claim to have the best tuba, the local names for the tuba variations are different. The freshly taken is called stainless. Bahal is 4 days to several weeks old. Bahalina is what Westerners would term age, from several months to years. Talking with a tuba aficionado in Leyte, one of my husband's cousins was, for me, like talking to a wine grower in France. He mentioned the right place for a perfect tuba, good water source, and the weather. Actually, I was very surprised. Tuba technology was brought by Filipinos who jumped ship in Acapulco during the trading season in the 17th century. They taught the Mexicans how to tap the sap and the other how to distill. Okay, and they also taught how to use the leaves of the coconut tree to make into roofing material, which they call palapa. The distillation tools are still there in the museum. Tuba is still how the alcohol is called in Mexico. Sometimes people say that we also taught them how to do tequila. While I like to say yes, the Mexicans have been doing tequila since the 16th century. First mezcal, no? And then tequila. Do you know which soft drink is more popular in the province to use with tuba? Pepsi? Who says Pepsi? Who says Coke? Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Who says Coke? Okay, Pepsi. Why? Because in the province, before electricity really reached throughout the provinces, they had no ice, and you could drink Pepsi without ice, but Coke you cannot drink without ice. Then they liked it because it was sweeter for the tobacco, the Pepsi. One thing that can turn non-drinkers of tobacco off is the smell of the drinker after. Do you know what that smell is? Well, somebody said Chico. Yeah, it's fermentation, really. It's maasim yung amoy. Yeah, and I know that because my husband's Leyteño.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have basi. Okay, sugar cane is crushed by Carabao and the juice goes to a vat. That's the old way. I remember going to Liwak in Ilocos. And then I said, and then somebody beside me said, but where is the juice? I said, look at the Carabao. If it makes really, that's the juice. Of course, he was very angry with me later on. The juice is boiled and the evaporation is caught into earthen jars called burnay, where dried twigs, leaves, flowers, and the bark of the female samak tree is mixed in. Then the burnay is sealed In the old days, it was sealed with wax. Carabao dung, which probably helped in the fermentation. After 1 month, you can have sweet basi. But the older the basi, the better. The burnay are buried underground underneath houses. Then I remember I asked them, how do you know which is which? Which did you bury during this year, and then which did you bury during that year? And they said, they plot it, they have maps. Okay, so it's there. The sweet basi is called basing babae, meaning the fermentation has failed, so it has lots of sugar and is low in alcohol. If kept in the open, it becomes sukang Ilocos. Basing lalaki is when the fermentation is complete with a higher alcohol content and is less sweet. Basi has a place in history. If you look at the back, there's a painting there. That is the history of Basi, where Pidik, a small town in Ilocos Norte, which had Basi as their main livelihood. The Spanish tried to regulate the Basi production, sale, that the citizens decided to revolt in September 1807. They went after the local Spanish regiment and won. But victory was so short-lived and the revolt was quelled. Its leaders killed. The painting is part of 14 paintings by Esteban Villanueva. This is Abu. The wine is not made with rice per se, but with yeast made from rice. The process mostly involves how to make the yeast. There are different ways. The Manobos of Bukidnon soak the rice overnight, then pound it to make a paste. Add chili peppers, then mix with rice paste with the root from the place and leaves. They dry it for several days in and out of the sun. They have a word for sun drying, ipe-save. Again, ipe-save. Manobos call the yeast tape. The yeast is sprinkled on top of the rice or on ground boiled corn, cassava or sorghum, spread out on banana leaves, and the next day placed in a jar for a month. The resulting wine is called agku. There is another style. After mixing in the yeast in the rice, the Tiru rice of Bukidnon eat the rice the next day. This is called eating wine. Eating the fermented rice is also how the Ilocanos eat their bilugudan. And the Magindanaos and Maranaos call it tapay, breakfast food. Yes, they sell it in the market, and I was there about 2 months ago in Cotabato, and then they offered me that as my breakfast food. That one I could eat. So it's very nice, warms the stomach. But the problem is, the new way of presenting it now for the younger generation is like this. You get the tapay, you put crushed ice on top, you put evaporated milk, and then you put cornflakes. And that's the way they want the younger ones to eat it, you know. But they love it. I couldn't do it because I know my stomach will revolt.
Probiotic.
It's probiotic.
Like kimchi. Like kimchi.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, that's true also. That's true also. So I was thinking, when I was there, I asked them, do you drink? No. No.
That's equivalent.
Yeah, but that's why it's eating wine.
Going around.
Yeah. But for many of us, tapu is associated with the Cordilleras. The yeast is but, and the wine is tapoy. But. Tapoy is made from a mash of ground rice and corn mixed with rice yeast. Oh, by the way, the but is also called food to the Pontops. I don't know, the Bontocs have a lot of letter Fs. Whenever a celebration or kanyao in the Cordilleras is held, the tapway is not supposed to run out. So water is added to the mix a little at a time until the party winds down. Anyway, by that time, they probably are too drunk to know that they're just drinking half water. There are still more ancient alcoholic drinks that are very rare today. And these are some of them. Bad Pangasi, Intus, Kaparawan. The Tagpuan, an ancient indigenous group in Palawan, their native wine is called Tapat, that they used to heal their sick. The Pangasi is made from ground rice or corn, popular in the Visayas, in Bukidnon and in Bicol. They are used for rituals or offering to the Diwata as the first drink. The Sulod ethno-linguistic group in Panay shared the Pangasi during the harvest season feast called Panigo. The Intus is like basi, also made from sugarcane, also boiled with a dark bark. The Visayans at the time did not mill the cane for sugar, but only for Intus. It's like in the Ilocos. If you ask them, because they have sugarcane, right? But do you ever see many sweets in the Ilocos? Only that, what you call it? Malikudsa. I think that's the only one you can find that, you know, is sweet. The thing is, they would prefer to use basi, the sugarcane for basi, more than anything else. The Kaparawan is an alcohol of the Visayas, where they burn the Kaparawan tree, the tree itself, they burn it, and then when it is burnt, they ground it, they boil it until only half the liquid remains, and honey is mixed with it. Are you familiar with mead?
Yeah.
It's much the same. Like that. Yes, it's the honey.
It's the gene that gives me.
Yes. And they sip it through bamboo straws. When I was in Zamboanga, they made me do the same thing. Okay. That is not done anymore. Why? Yeah, exactly. Kung baka nawala na yung tree, they may sunog the whole... Yeah, oo. Drinking customs. Dagat. I mean, look at them. Isa baha na, nagkagay pa sila.
It's not your family.
Could have been my family, who knows. But, you know, it's usually in the streets, corner streets, you know, in barangays like this. But in Quezon, they take it seriously. Tagay. It's an offering of a drink from a common vessel to a common glass. And this glass is shared by everybody. Yes. The table also has ulutan, or food for drinking. Central to the tagay is the important person who handles the business of the tagay. He's the tanggero. He opens the session and closes it. He's able to determine the amount needed for the group on the table based on the number of turns, or lipos, he calls it, that everyone agrees to. He knows exactly how much to give everyone, so that by the time the session ends, nothing remains of the lampanog. The tanggero opens the session by having the first drink. First, he raises his glass to all participants and says, "Na ay po." Here it is. Everyone replies with, "Pag-inabangan po." Utilize it. Use it. The tagay goes either left or right. It can happen that one in the group does not drink. I don't know why he joins, but there.
you know. He needs a proxy, but will have to excuse himself by saying, timan ko na po lamang. An indication that he will touch the edge of the glass with his lips. The tanguero is usually the proxy drinker and will do it courteously and with aplomb. Everyone gives a naughty or witty banter, especially if there's a woman there in the group and does not drink also. So she needs a proxy, right? Mag-aagawan yan. To flirt and to impress. Right? So, the same thing is done. Kunin nila yung glass. The girl will put it on her lip, pa-touch lang. The guy, whoever he is, the proxy, gets it and then finds out where the lip touched the glass and put it there. Okay. Everyone gives a naughty or witty banter. When someone takes too long to drink, someone will say, maigi pang magtagal sa suso kaysa sa baso. You know, I asked somebody from Quezon, they really do take it seriously, the Tagayan. And now we have the pulutan. There is a Cebuano song, Uhaw Tagay, that speaks of thirst and asks for the glass to be filled up. There is a line also which says that if there is no sumsuman, which is how pulutan is called there, specialties that are eaten during drinking session, then a hinuktan or a fighting cup should be filled. They can't even wait for the cup to be used. The losing fighting cup is called talunan to Tagalogs and bihag to Warais. In the Visayas, a bihag is usually boiled because the cup has a tough meat with ligaments. But in Bulacan, according to Conrad Calalang, the talunan is braised and the dish is called pakam. According to Ed Alegre, the range of pulutan covers the uncooked, such as green mango, singkamas, kilawin, the preserved, like peanuts, tapa, European sausages, the grilled, broiled, and fried. But it can really be anything, including soup, and things we normally don't talk or take. Snake, ow, the one-eyed creature from outer space called tamilok, python, or sawa. I've tasted tamilok, by the way, and
It's slimy.
it's slimy, but you know, the taste is like balut. It's like balut. And then there's the kinilaw. Every time the family goes home to Leyte for the fiesta, by the way, the ones who do kinilaw in the provinces are the men. Why? Maybe they had salty hands, I don't know. Every time the family goes home to Leyte for the fiesta, I sneak into the kitchen to find out if the kinilaw is done. I get a portion for myself because this is only for those who are miinom. And so before the dish is sent out, I have my share. Not that women are not allowed where the men are drinking, but according to an aunt, they just tell the same stories anyway, over and over. So, there. Leyte Inumang. Those are the singers. I mean, it's, you know, whatever they like to sing. And then usually an older person recites a poem. And once I was able to record it, but I lost the recording.
No.
Yeah, you know how it is with digital things. And then there was a song to walk, a Leyteño song. I returned to a valuable reference, the folk songs compiled and edited by Damiana Eugenio and it's published by the De La Salle University Press. That one I can sing because I know that. Tuba. Yeah. Kondansoy, inom tuba laloy, dili ko mo inom, tuba pait aslong. Ang tuba sa baybay, patente mo angay, talaksan nga jutay, paano ang manaway? You know, I just read the notes because I played the piano somewhat, but the others I couldn't. The song asks a young boy, Kondansoy, to drink Laloy's tuba, but he won't because he says the tuba is bitter and sour. The boy also believes that Laloy's tuba sold at the beach should pay an expensive license because just a little sweet will make you crazy drunk. That's what it means. Malaway. And you know, that's a bad word in English. Yeah. That's the book. If you can buy that, it's very good. The book attributes the song to E. Ratio Cruz, but also says that identical versions are found in Cebu, Bohol. Websites dedicated to those provinces do contain the song, though sometimes the name used is Dansoy. That is also the title of a Hiligaynon farewell song. I don't Dansoy, hinayaan mo ako, or something like that. No? Okay, so the other songs like Plastado sa Bangko is people, which means to say, talagang lasing ka na. And then, ang Anparaino is Waray, a drunkard who lies in the street until morning, nahigda sa dalan, nga naaaga. You know, I thought at first, well, that's crazy. But I had an uncle who was with, what do you call that? Ano, in Leyte, it's where the basta national power, NPC, was there. And then he said, they were always afraid to go down from the mountain at night because there really would be people lying down on the street. Drunk. Yeah. That's not the first experience from an uncle. Another uncle of mine who was president of La Tondena went to Leyte also and then tried to convince the farmers to plant cassava because they needed that for the gin. And then he wasn't listened to. He said, what's the matter with those people? I said, they like their coconut better, I think. And maybe he didn't talk to the right persons. And he didn't tell me he was going. But not all songs are about drinking. They're also about work. So you have Manangyete, it's a Hiligaynon song. And it tells us about a tuba gatherer. Ako manangyete nga nagbalik-balik sanglit na lipatan baral kan kagpatik patik. Sorry. Sumakasadyong, sumakaming suklay, umbay ang kawit, pumungko sa paklang, kag magpatik-patik. That means to say, I am a tuba gatherer who keeps returning to the ground, or I have forgotten my container, the one that contains the red bark, and my stick for tapping the branches. I go up to the coconut tree with a bamboo tube hooked to my shoulder. I sit on the branch and tap the branches. And describes how the coconut is tapped to produce the wine by sitting on the branch. But quaint and unforgettable was a song rendered by two women in Sariaya, Quezon. These two women cannot do it anymore because this was taken like some 15 years ago. They were young then. They each offered a glass of lambanog to guests as a welcome in one of the old distinguished houses of the place. a son, a pandango awit, taught them when they were young girls by the head of the town council, offering the lambanog, coconut wine. Inom na, sa kamay ko galing, ay sukdang ito'y lason, ay di ka papatayin. Kung magkasakit ka, sa akin ang dahil, ako'y malayo man, iyong ipagpili. But I don't know the song. Drink, drink from my hand, and if this is poison, it won't kill you. If you get sick, I am the cause. Even if I am far away, tell someone. Okay? Then there is the other part, the accepting. Yeah. Actually, that one was the accepting. This one is also a song that they sing during weddings, but it's the same song. And she's wearing that baso on her head. Itaas ko na yung hawak kong tagay, at sa aking ulo ay nakakorona. Ang laman ba nito'y agua de colonia, ay sa atay ko't puso ay doon kinuha. Ang tagay na yan, aking iinumin, ay sukdang lason, aking titiisin. Diba how beautiful? And this is the English. I've tried as much as possible to capture it in translation, but it's very difficult. I mean, I think you have to be a poet, and I am not. Now, I will raise the drink I hold, and on my head it sits as a crown. Is this drink cologne? I got the offering from my liver and my heart. I will drink it, and if it is poison, I will bear. Pwede na ba?
Nice try.
And now, we have Inumang Pilipino ngayon. Did you know that we are the biggest gin consumer in the world? I only learned that when I was watching a BBC interview. And then they said they were afraid that juniper berries were running out. And they were concerned. And then these two guys said, oh, we only need a few juniper berries when we do the gin. And then they said, you know, the biggest consumer in the world is the Philippines. And I almost fell from my seat. And then later on, I asked people, and they said, that's true, you know. How many of you have been to Batanes? All right. The gin that is brought there is like litro, the size, always. And it, half of the boat that brings supplies there is gin. Yes. Hindi gas. Yeah, gin. So, and of course, mag-beer muna tayo. Beer has been with us, not as far as tuba or all the old inumin, but beer has been there. And I remember being a student of College of the Holy Spirit. We would get drunk about 3 times a week. Because of the yeast, we could smell in the San Miguel brewery there.
Kaya pala Holy Spirit.
Siguro.
The spirit that you invite.
Yeah. And they were, letting everybody taste San Miguel beer during the Madrid Fusion then. And then I just mentioned to somebody, I said, that's from the Philippines. And they looked at me, unbelieving. I don't know why they did it. Just because we were there, before. 100 bottles of rum, which is really, because we have so many versions here. That's why I put 100 bottles of rum. And then, vodka or lambanog. Okay. And flavored lambanog came to be, you had flavors like bubble gum, something like that. And then the award-winning Lakandula. It's a lambanog.
It's a local brand.
It's a local brand. During the 53rd World Selection of Spirits and Liquors by the prestigious Monde Selection International Institute, extra premium Philippine Lampalog Lacan, named after a pre-Spanish title of nobility, stood out and was conferred with a gold award. Yeah. And I will show you, and then we have new Inuming for old, which we have a speaker for, and her totally new products also. Okay, this is a scene from Brussels where they made me
Beautiful.
bartender, and you see the line that formed. Every dinner we would have cocktails, and cocktails would stretch on and on because nobody wanted to sit down there. They all wanted to drink.
They love to drink.
Yes, yes. And then, so we had concoctions made for them by bartenders of Brussels, London, etc. But to them, their real favorite is our calamansi
Liquor.
with with 7-Up, with something, maybe because it's refreshing and light and they know the taste. I mean, they don't know the taste, and so we're quite surprised of how refreshing it was. But we also had, you see the sili there? It was a concoction that they did because they saw the sili, and some of the bartenders said, "What is this?" I said, "That's chili, and it's hot, really hot." They didn't care, so they mix it. And I'm amazed at these bartenders, the way when they mix it, they taste it, they said, "Oh, it lacks this and that." And I taste it, does it? It's really the tongue. Very, very good. And there was a particular bartender, a woman. And she was fantastic the way she did her job, And all the spirits that we brought from here, ubos. Okay. And now, this is Inuming Pilipino ngayon, and the distillery Alimpo ako. I would like to introduce to you Miss Olive Limpeao.